Hello everyone, I hope you're all doing well. In this video, we are going to look at the recent Manipur violence, the ethnic violence that have been prevailing in the Manipur state over the past few months. Okay, so before we begin, a quick announcement for you. All these topics are being done in the editorial videos also. So the topics that require much coverage and in-depth analysis are being done like this in separate videos. So it is recommended for you to watch both the editorial videos and these videos also for full coverage of any particular topic, including both static portion and the current affairs portion. Okay, so with that said, let's begin. The ethnic violence has plunged the small Indian state of Manipur into what many have dubbed a state of civil war. So we may say that a state of civil war has erupted between the two groups in the Manipur state, the majority community, that is the Meiteis, and the minority community, Kugis. So these two groups they battle over land and influence. And also recently two Kuki women they were subjected to assault by Meitei men as an act of reprisal for what the Kuki men have done to the Meitei women. So we can see here that the terror against women and the assault is being used as a tool of or a weapon of conflict in this. And over the past few months, reports of violence, arson, and mayhem have emerged from various districts in Manipur, including Churachandpur, Imphal East, Imphal West, Bishnupur, Tengnopal, and also Kangpokpi. And also what happened was the district magistrates in the entire state of Manipur were authorized by the Manipur government to issue shoot at sight orders, which means that whoever are seen involved in such acts of violence, they may be shot dead by the police officials. So such orders were also issued by the district magistrates. And if we talk about the reason for this ongoing conflict, there is no one reason. There were myriad of other reasons that has triggered this violence. So these other reasons have cascaded and compounded one another, we can say. And yet, if we talk about the provocation of this entire violence, what happened was, let's talk about the trigger of this violence. So what happened was recently the Manipur High Court has issued an order, okay, which had asked the Manipur state government to send a recommendation to the center to provide scheduled tribe status to the Meitei community. So this Meitei community, they are the majority in the Manipur state. They are demanding for the scheduled tribe status for so long. However, the Kurki tribes, this is much to the dislike of the Kurki tribes. The Kurki tribes are protesting against this. They are opposing this Manipur High Court order. They feel that if the Meitei communities get the scheduled tribe status, then they get some unfair benefits because they are already in majority. So if they get the ST status, then they will be at some unfair advantage. So that is what Kuki tribes have been feeling, and that is why they are opposing this Manipur State High Court order. So that is why all tribal students union, okay, here all tribal students union Manipur ATSUM, they have held a solidarity march in all the districts opposing this recent Manipur High Court order. Okay, so these are mostly Kurki tribes, so they held a solidarity march because they were opposing the recent Manipur High Court order. Okay, so this has triggered the violence. So that is when the violence has escalated, and then the center had to invoke Article 355 of the Constitution, which is a part of the emergency provisions. And this Article 355 empowers the center to take necessary steps to protect a state against external aggression or internal disturbances. And also, over the past few months, convoys of trucks belonging to the Army, Assam Rifles, Rapid Action Force, and also the local police personnel, they have moved into the state to quell these acts of violence. So this is what has been happening currently, and also the army has set up a relief camp in Manipur for all those people who got displaced due to this violence. And also hundreds of them have been wounded, and a few people have also been reported killed, and the properties have also been destroyed in those acts of violence. And now if we talk about the geographical map of the Manipur, this hilly area, this hilly northeastern state sits east of the Bangladesh, and it also borders Myanmar. Okay, this Manipur state is home to an estimated 3.3 million people. Okay, and yeah, and if we talk more about it, so this is the geographical map of the Manipur state. So the 90% of the total geographical area, okay, consists of hills, whereas only the 10%, the central part of the state, this constitutes only 10%, whereas the surrounding area constitutes 90%. So the central part, the 10% is the valley. So this is where the Meitei communities live. Okay, Meitei communities constitute 65% of the total population. However, they reside in only 10% of the total geographical land, that is the valley. Okay, however, the other tribe, the other part, the Naga and also the Kurki tribes, they constitute only the 35% of the population, and they reside in almost 90% of the total land, that is the hilly areas. Okay, the central part is the valley and the surrounding areas are hilly regions. So hilly regions is where the Kurki tribes reside, and the valley is where the Meitei community reside. And so the Manipur, this is commonly thought of as divided into valley and hill districts. However, there are 16 districts. So the central area, the districts that are present in the central area are usually thought of as the valley districts, and the surrounding districts are usually thought of as the hill districts. And if we talk about the reason, okay, if we talk about the another reason of this ongoing violence acts, so what usually happened was, the tribals who reside in the valley districts, they are allowed to buy land in the valley, they are allowed to settle in the valley. However, the vice versa is prohibited, which means the Meitei community from the valley, they are not allowed to spread out to the hilly areas. So this particular unfair policy is, it has caused tension between these two communities, the Meitei community who live in the valleys and the Kurki tribes who live in the hilly areas. So this is like another reason, okay, another reason for the tensions between the Meitei community and the Kurki tribes. And if we talk about the current situation, due to these acts of violence, almost 130 people have been killed and many of them are also wounded. And so more than 60,000 have been forced from their homes. However, the army, paramilitary forces, and also the police personnel, they are struggling to quell this violence. And police armories have been looted, hundreds of churches and more than a dozen temples also ruined, and villages destroyed. And now, if we talk about the root cause of the conflict, so we know the trigger that has escalated the violence, that is the recent Manipur State High Court order. Okay, regarding the granting of scheduled tribe status to the Meitei community, that is just a provocation. Okay, that is just a trigger to the entire violence. However, there were other reasons also for this underlying anger and simmering discontent. Of course, the first one is the list inclusion. The demand for Meitei's inclusion in the scheduled tribe list triggered the unrest. However, deeper causes include issues related to forest land and perceived persecution of the Kukis. So which we'll see in a while. So the immediate provocation, okay, or the trigger for this ethnic unrest is definitely the demand of the Meitei communities to get included in the scheduled tribe list. Okay, so let's talk about the other reasons also. So the government, the Manipur government, is driving the Kurki tribes who reside in the hilly areas away from their homelands, okay, in the name of protecting the reserved forests. So this is leaving the Kurki tribes feeling isolated and persecuted. Okay, so this is another reason. And also, if we talk about the Myanmar military coup in 2021, so during that time, several Chin people, they have uh, entered India across the border of Manipur. They were fleeing the violence and persecution from the Manipur state. So for these immigrants, the Manipur government has taken a tough stand against these immigrants from the Myanmar, fearing the military coup in Myanmar in 2021. So what happened was, the Kurki tribes and these Chin people who have migrated from Myanmar to India belong to same ethnic origin. Okay, so the government's tough stand against these illegal immigrants have angered the Kukis. Okay, because they belong to the same ethnic origin. So that is why the government's tough stand against these immigrants have angered the Kukis, because they belong to the same kin, and this is one of the reasons. And another reason, many acres of land in the hills, they are being used for poppy cultivation. Okay, uh, so these the tribal communities, the Kurkis, Nagas, and all, they cultivate poppy in the hilly areas. Okay, however, the Manipur government has taken a tough stand against this poppy cultivation, because it feels that the tribal communities, the Kurkis, they are encroaching the reserved and protected forest areas. So that is why the government feels it has to stem these communities from cultivating poppy. And it is also using this phrase named drug lords for the Kurki people. Okay, which is not which is too much to the dislike of the Kurki people. So the war on drug cultivation. Okay, so the Kurki tribes, they cultivate poppy, they spread out to the surrounding areas because they feel that it is their ancestral right, it is their historical right. However, the government is seeing this particular poppy cultivation as an encroachment to the reserved and protected forest. So that is why it is cracking down on such tribes who are trying to cultivate poppy, who are trying to spread out to the surrounding areas. So this is also causing the tension among the Kurki tribes. So this is what is happening. And the another reason, if we talk about the another reason, there is serious pressure on land in Manipur. As populations increase in the hilly areas, they tend to spread out to the surrounding forest areas, right? Because they consider moving out to any land they want to wish, it is their ancestral right. So this is contested by the government. We have seen it already. And the policy is also in such a way that the tribal people who reside in hilly areas are allowed to settle in the valley. However, the Meitei communities who live in the valley, they are not allowed to settle in the hilly areas. So this is also causing the tension between the two groups, the Meitei community and the tribal people. Okay, the Kurkis. So these are the different root causes of the conflict apart from the recent Manipur High Court, State High Court order. Okay, and okay, ethnic groups involved, we know the Meiteis and then the Kurkis. The Meitei community, they have roots in Manipur and also the Myanmar and also surrounding areas. So the vast majority of the Meiteis, they are Vaishnavite Hindus. Okay, although some of them follow Sanamahi religion, so they mostly belong to the Hindu religion, and some of them are also of Sanamahi religion. Whereas the Kukis, they are mostly Christians. Okay, they have spread across the northeast, the entire northeastern India, and many of those in Manipur, they can trace their roots back to Myanmar too. Okay, so the Kurkis, they spread in the entire stretch of northeastern India, and they also trace their descent from Myanmar. Okay, targeting of women. So we have seen recently that the two Kuki women, they were subjected to assault by the Meitei men. So this particular act is like using this assault as a weapon of conflict, okay, as a tool of conflict. And the Prime Minister Narendra Modi has severely condemned this particular act, and so he had said that this incident had shamed India and that no guilty will be spared. And also, in light of these acts of violence, the Indian government has deployed 40,000 soldiers, paramilitary troops, and police to the region so as to stem this violence. However, the violence continues to spread and force more villages from their homes. And if we talk about the political dynamics, the BJP runs the it governs India, and also the chief minister of the Manipur state, that is Mr. N. Biren Singh, he is also a Meitei. Okay, so the Meitei dominance in the parliament seats. So usually out of the total parliamentary seats, 60 seats are for the Manipur. Okay, so out of the total 60 seats, 40 seats are they are held by Meiteis. Okay, even though they only spread out in 10% of the geographical land, they are wielding almost 40 seats out of the total 60 seats. So, which it also led to the discontent among the Kokis. Okay, so that is the end of this video. We have seen a lot of things like what is happening currently and what are the root causes of the conflict between the two groups, the Meitei community and the Kurki tribes. We have seen their origin, we have seen their roots. Okay, and And yeah, so I hope you enjoyed watching this video, and I'll see you in the next video.